So everything that I was just mentioning integrates in together. It's all been planned, all been set up on record. They have Internet 2 meetings every year where they openly announce it. You can read the RFID conferences with government leaders standardizing it. Thousands and thousands of pages per conference. You can read it all. MIT brags that they're helping to steer, along with Stanford Research Institute and others, the integration of this for global standardization. Now, all over the world, whether it's Australia or Germany or England or the United States or Canada, you'll read in the news. In fact, let's show people that. Google spy satellites used to keep tabs on farmers. First, it started in Australia and England. Now here they've opened it up to local cops and local land management to have the Pentagon satellites spying on you. And they're saying, under color of law, you have to register your premises. They make you sign a contract, which isn't law. You waive your rights, saying $1,000 to $2,000 a day fines for one dead chicken, one dead cow. You don't tell the feds about $20 tag for a $5 chicken, but big agribusiness is exempt from all of it. This will shut down farms and ranches. There it is, new satellites to keep tabs on farmers. It was a Boston Globe article that was real good. There was also a Denver Post one where it shows the cops doing it, looking at the satellites. They're bringing in the national animal ID, the national premises ID, new bureaucracies, new taxes to harass everybody, arresting Amish selling cheese, arresting people selling eggs and watermelons on the side of the road. That's in the news every week. That's coming. This is the control grid, shutting down and controlling over-the-counter vitamins, making them prescription, Codex Alimentarius. The biometrics, as I mentioned, getting the school kids to all do it, the DNA, the blood, the NSA with warrantless wiretapping of the entire population, cybersecurity. Again, we have to keep mentioning that term. That's just the feds, by law, going even small IT companies and smaller parts of the infrastructure, and by law putting their machinery in and making you wire your machinery to it. And they pay you to do it. It's like the Telecommunications Act of 96 paid to do this for the phone companies. And then the power, quote, to shut the web off during emergencies for all of our safety. That's the headlines with Obama. That way they can also cover up torture when they want to. They can shut down the alternative media that is kicking the butt of the mainstream media. I already mentioned CPS. Now, there's a lot of good news to go over with this control grid, and that is that we've said no to the National ID, Real ID Act, but the feds just ignore it and go ahead with the Hemisphere ID card and say, you better have this when you're at the airport. Even if you're not leaving the U.S., you're going to be treated better if you have this card. And they tell folks that are on no-fly list, oh, if you go through the background check, even though you have no criminal record, and we're just saying it's a mistake that you're on this, the only way to get off is to apply for a hemispheric ID. And then magically, when you get the Hemisphere North American Union ID, when you magically get that card, you then suddenly get to fly. So see, they put everybody on the list, making you a criminal, and then if you acquiesce to being treated like a criminal, oh, we give you your privileges back that were really rights. There's just literally scores of other points I haven't gotten to, but that's part 2 on cybersecurity. Tomorrow I want to get into the fine details of all of this, and the debtors' prisons, and a lot more. Kinky Friedman coming up after this quick break. I'm Alex Jones. Infowars.com is the website. Well, he doesn't need much of an introduction. Kinky Friedman's a best-selling author, musician, humorist, columnist for Texas Monthly, American satirist Will Rogers and Mark Twain. He was one of 2 independent candidates in 2006 election for the office of governor of Texas. He's in exploratory right now. I talked to him. He said, looks like I'm running for governor during the break, so you heard it here first. And he also has a big event coming up to benefit his rescue animals operation. So we appreciate Kinky Friedman coming in. Kinky, good to have you here.
Great to be here, Alex.
You know, when I had you on last year or 2 years ago, I forget, my dad...
You know, I was fired by Texas Monthly.
Really? I didn't know that.
They fire me every time I run for governor, and if I lose, then I come back. But this time I think may be different.
Well, yeah, that's owned by Emmis. And we're actually on some of their stations. Well, I mean, they can't really... Can they legally have you?
Why can I not write a humor column make a living while I'm running for governor. I don't understand that.
They're just worried that the Elections Commission can come after him. But I believe you have your First Amendment. I believe you should be able to have a radio show or
there you go.
Write books, whatever. No, but let's get this out of the way first, and we'll talk about all the big news you've got. Last time you were on, a couple of years ago, my dad said that one of his professors, that was also one of his advisors, was your dad, Tom Friedman, and that that he had been in World War II in some of the same squadrons with my grandfather, Jerry Jones. And so we were just talking about that during the break and what a small world it is. And then my dad was digging through storage and found some more of their flight school annuals and all that stuff and saw your dad in there. So what a small world. Tell us about your dad.
It is. Well, I'll tell you, Tom was a navigator in World War II, flew the B-24, the Liberator.
Also known as the Flying Coffin.
Flying Coffin. His plane was called the I've Had It. And there were 10 men on the plane. Tom was the oldest. He was 23 years old. And he flew 35 missions over Germany. Qualifies him for the Lucky Bastards Club. Yeah.
That's way over Catch-22. So did he volunteer to go past the 22?
I don't think they had a choice. That's my understanding of it. But, as Audie Murphy says, Audie Murphy, Ronald Reagan and John Wayne spent the war in Hollywood. And guys like Audie Murphy and then those that didn't come back fought to buy the freedom that the rest of us cherish and abuse.
Well, I'm not big on the Texas Worship Club, but I am proud of our state. And look at Audie Murphy from Texas, so many other people. And I've talked to a lot of old veterans from the Army and Marine Corps. They say that the best soldiers come from Texas. Yeah,
I've been reading a lot about Audie, and that appears to be true. And, Audie was rejected by every branch of the service. He was too small. He was 5'5" and weighed 110 pounds and so forth. And but it didn't take long to see what he was really made of. And there's a great story. We should hold this. Well, I can do it quickly. But when Audie was fighting in France, and he woke up one night in the forest, and his hair was frozen to the ground, and they told him, "You're in charge. The officer's been killed." He only had 18 men to man the front lines, and he gets up there. It's outside of a little village in France, and there's 250 snow-caped clad Germans with 6 tanks rounded the corner. And Audie told all his men to go into the forest, and he fought them off himself. He jumped on top of the only tank destroyer that he had, which was on fire, and held them all off. And he was on the phone calling in artillery, and they said, "Audie, how close are the Krauts?" And he says, "Hold on a minute, I'll let one of the bastards speak to you." They're 10 yards away.
Yeah.
Anyway, he killed like 100, 150 of them, and for that he won the Medal of Honor.
Well, that's certainly a fighting spirit. He not only had a lot of courage, he also was charmed.
Yeah, he was very lucky, but he represents just a greatness in this country and I'm sure Audie would say that the young generation has it. That that if the chips were really down, they would deliver too.
Absolutely, or somebody like Chuck Yeager from West Virginia. We'll be right back with a true Texas original, Kinky Friedman. And we will get into his run for governor and a lot more coming up. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen.